September 9th, 2025. The night was calm and quiet. Suddenly, a deafening roar exploded in the night. 19 drones were seen entering Poland territory after being launched by Russia. This was one of the biggest incursions and triggered a quick reaction alert. The Polish Air Force and other NATO militaries scrambled aircraft. 4 drones were immediately shot down, most by the Dutch Air Force. But what was the purpose of this strike on a NATO country? Most people think that the strike was an accident. This is the story told to the world. This is the story the media repeated. But accidents don't shake entire alliances, and Russia does not gamble without purpose. So, today, let's reveal the hidden truth behind Russia's attack on Poland that has shaken NATO to its core. During the night of Tuesday, it was about 11:30 p.m. when Russian drones violated Polish airspace with over a dozen Russian drones. The drones, made of plywood and styrofoam, cost around $11,800 each. NATO fighter jets, among them Dutch F-35s and Polish F-16, scrambled to intercept the incursion. These fighter jets quickly shot down a couple of drones, while others managed to slip through. Debris and drone fragments were found across Polish territory. Some drones had penetrated deep into Poland, traveling several hundred kilometers. Path of at least 5 drones indicated that they were headed towards Rzeszów Airport, a key NATO logistics hub for defense supplies and humanitarian aid bound for Ukraine. Regional prosecutor's office in Lublin said that the recovered drones did not contain any explosive material, calling them decoy drones. The damage done by these drones was limited, but the incursion was unprecedented in every way. After the drone strike, the reaction was immediate and predictable. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that the drones posed a direct threat. Media channels erupted with the breaking news: Russian strikes hit NATO territory. On news channels, experts gave their opinions about the possible intent of the Russian strike. For a moment, the world appeared to be on the brink of a great conflict. Shortly thereafter, Poland's government called for urgent consultations, invoking Article 4 of the NATO treaty. They could also go for Article 5, meaning automatic defense. But they chose Article 4 because they did not want a military response. NATO leaders, from Washington to Brussels, condemned the strike. Belgium's defense minister Theo Franken said, "Russian violations of NATO airspace are unacceptable," expressing his solidarity and support with Poland. Bulgarian President Rumen Radev wrote on Twitter, "Violating the airspace of sovereign Poland leads to a dangerous escalation of tension between Russia and NATO." United States Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker said, "We stand by our NATO allies in the face of these airspace violations and will defend every inch of NATO territory." President Donald Trump also came up with a post stating, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones?" Here we go. But Russia came with a different story. They said that Poland was never the target of drone strikes. It was likely a stray projectile, overshooting its target inside Ukraine. It was a tragic accident, but not an intentional attack. Andrei Ordash, a man of Russia's embassy in Poland, said that the accusations of the incursion were groundless. Moscow said no objects on Polish territory were planned to be targeted. The explanation calmed markets, reassured citizens, and lowered the rising temperatures. The world took a sigh of relief. But beneath it, there was an assumption that Russia had simply blundered. And that assumption could be the most dangerous mistake of all. The story that came from Russia was comforting. The drone strike was just a mistake and nothing else. But there is something everyone missed. The explanation does not quite fit. Russia never fired missiles without taking risks into consideration. And it certainly does not risk hitting a NATO country unless there's something to gain. Moscow did not want to test NATO through this incursion. They know exactly how far they can go before triggering real retaliation. So, the idea that the strike was just a test for NATO does not hold up. Russia is well familiar with what NATO is capable of. The thing everyone missed here is, Poland was never the target. The strike was never about Poland itself. It can be said that Poland was the stage. The real target was NATO's unity and Ukraine's confidence. By striking Poland, Russia accomplished three things. It shook Europe, prompting leaders to reconsider NATO's preparedness. It diverted Ukraine's attention, raising fears of escalation at the exact moment when Ukraine needed to focus on the front lines. And Russia showed the world that it can cross red lines and still walk away like nothing happened. So the strike was not an accident. It was a strategy. So, what strategy is hidden behind attacking a NATO country? From the Kremlin's perspective, the war in Ukraine has always been bigger than a territory. It's about testing the West's nerve. Every strike carried out by Russia is not just a military action, it is psychological warfare. After the strike, NATO came with an angry response towards Russia, but it did not invoke military action against them. Now, Russia is clear that NATO does not want a war. With this strike, they just wanted to know the NATO reaction. Would NATO panic? Would Poland scream for Article 5? Or would leaders step back, trying to avoid escalation? They wanted an answer to these questions because they knew that if NATO blinked here, Russia had a good chance to push boundaries without paying a price. So they launched the strike to detect and assess NATO capabilities and its willingness to react to the incursion. But why did Poland not respond with military retaliation? Why did Poland not invoke Article 5 of the NATO treaty? Maybe it knew that one wrong move could drag Europe into full-scale war. Article 5 meant direct confrontation with Russia, and maybe Poland did not want to ignite World War III. It knew that one misstep could pull NATO into a fight it was not ready for. So, Poland chose a middle path. It did not choose the path of guns and missiles. Instead, it went for consultation. Leaders met, allies debated, and Poland bought time. Moreover, after the response by Russia that the strike was not intentional, Poland decided to discuss further. But whether the strike was just an accident or completely intentional is debatable. Officially, it was an accident and nothing more, but the evidence tells a different story. First, the trajectory showed that the drones were moving towards a deliberate path. Secondly, the strike came at a perfect time when Russia was carrying out its largest bombardments against Ukraine's infrastructure. And this is not the first time Russia has violated airspace. It has done this before. It has a long record of pushing its boundaries. All these factors show that this was not a random mistake. It was a calculated escalation, aimed not only at Poland, but at NATO itself. Justin Crump, CEO of the risk and intelligence company Sibylline, said that the drones in question appear to be Russian-made cheap, long-range drone Gerberas, which can be used as decoys to distract defenses as part of Russia's increasing gray zone actions against NATO. When the majority thinks it was intentional, some also suggest that it was not. Dr. Marina Myron, a defense researcher at King's College London, suggests that there is an issue with proving intention. She thinks that GPS spoofing could have caused the drones to enter Polish airspace. She also warned against making conclusions from partial information. She stated, "It may cause the incident to seem like something it is not." So the question is still lingering, whether it was intentional or just an accident. While the evidence of intent is compelling, the counter-arguments also carry weight. And whether deliberate or not, the incident will provide valuable information to Moscow on the types of response it can expect from the West if it ever decides to launch an attack on NATO countries. Poland is not just a NATO member. It's the alliance's shield on the eastern frontier, the buffer between Russia and the heart of Europe. Today, Poland hosts NATO's most forward-deployed forces, American bases, and advanced missile defenses. And among all NATO states, Poland has been one of Ukraine's fiercest supporters, sending weapons, aid, and taking in refugees. So, when Poland is struck, the stakes are bigger than borders. A blow to Poland is a test of NATO's credibility. If the alliance cannot protect its members, then what meaning is left of NATO's collective defense? After the drone incursion, NATO's challenge is to develop a sustainable response now. The message is clear now. Even if the strike was not intentional, Poland would not be left alone. NATO leaders also came forward with military support. The Czech Republic has sent a special operations team consisting of 3 Mi-171 helicopters and around 100 soldiers. France has deployed 3 Dassault Rafale fighters to Poland to help in defending their airspace. The Netherlands has supplied Patriot, NASAM systems and counter-drone equipment along with 300 soldiers. The United Kingdom is also considering redeploying up to 6 Eurofighter Typhoon fighters to Poland. Ukraine, on the other hand, will provide Poland with anti-drone training. On September 12, 2025, Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, said that action to protect the alliance's eastern borders would begin in the following days, involving military forces from Denmark, France, the United Kingdom, Germany, and others under the name of Eastern Sentry. Rutte stated that Russia's recklessness in the air along our eastern border is rising in frequency, and that the Eastern Sentry operation would be flexible and agile. The operation will involve 2 F-16 jets and a Danish anti-air frigate, plus 3 Rafale jets from France and 4 Eurofighters from Germany. Rutte stated that, while our immediate attention is on Poland, this issue goes beyond the boundaries of a single country. What impacts one ally impacts us all. NATO avoided direct confrontation, but it is making it harder for Russia to hit Poland again. So, will Russia strike again? If it does, what will happen next? But what comes next also depends on NATO's response. If the alliance strengthens not just its defenses, but its willingness to call out and confront gray zone attacks, it will force Russia to take a step back, because if NATO continues hesitating, Russia will grow bolder. But if NATO draws a firm line, Russia will think 100 times before making any move. Whether the Russian strike in Poland was accidental or intentional, it gave a clear message to NATO that it should be prepared. Now, what happens next depends entirely on NATO's choices. If the alliance stands firm, Russia may step back. But if it hesitates, Moscow will continue to push. So, what was the purpose of this strike? Share your thoughts in the comment section. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, comment, and share.